Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I am Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us. Well, this has been an interesting couple of weeks, and I have had an amazing opportunity to talk to many of you viewers in all corners of this country about your forced reset trigger or solvent traps. That's right. Some of you had received nasty little letters from the ATF, and a lot of you just wanted to get out in front of this. Now, during the course of the last couple of weeks, I've had an opportunity not only to talk to hundreds of lawful and responsible gun owners around the country, I've also had an opportunity to talk to many ATF agents, all working on Operation Reticent Recall. I've learned quite a bit, and I want to share some of this because, as I've told you all along here at Washington Gun Law, we just want to give you the most accurate, up-to-date information so that you can make informed and educated choices. So today, we're going to spend a few minutes to talk about everything you ever wanted to know about triggers, but were afraid to ask. Okay, so the issue we're talking about yet again is Operation Reticent Recall and ATF's national scavenger hunt for forced reset triggers, wide open triggers, and solvent traps. Now, I have spotted some very consistent themes throughout my dealings with all of you around the country, and I do really appreciate the opportunity to talk to so many of you in different parts of the country to learn what was going on. And I have had an opportunity to speak to about a dozen different ATF agents around the country. Had two of them here in my office just last week. Nice gentlemen, by the way. And I just want to share with you guys what the tenor of this investigation is, what I'm learning, what is good stuff, what is not so good stuff, any things you need to be aware of. And so that some of you who have not yet decided how are you going to deal with this issue, you got more information so that you can make educated choices. Okay, so everyone is really falling into one of a few categories. So let's figure out what the categories are so I can tell you how we've been dealing with it, how they've been dealing with it, and what we're seeing. Okay, category number one is a person who has one of these triggers or solvent traps, hasn't done anything with it, and has not received any correspondence from ATF at this point. Now, here's one of the things I've learned so far with the trigger issue. If you purchased a trigger from Big Daddy Unlimited, you probably have not received an ATF letter at all. If you purchased directly from Rare Breed, there's a slim chance that you might have received a letter at this point. And if you purchased on Gunbroker, in particular from Rifle Remedy 2000, you've already got a letter about a month ago, okay? And I want you to be aware of that because as the ATF goes out there and throws this large gill net out to the ocean, they're simply not going to gather up all of the fish. And are they going to be able to effectively connect the dots between every retail sale of this trigger and the actual end user? It's going to depend a lot on their ability to gather data. It's going to depend a lot on these companies' willingness to supply them with data, and I have a feeling that a couple of these companies aren't too keen about cooperating with this investigation. If you fall into the category of, I have a trigger, I have a solvent trap, I'm worried that ATF is going to contact me, but I haven't received a letter yet, here's the thing. That is your personal property. You have no reason to believe it has evidentiary value because nobody from law enforcement has informed you of anything. And like any other things of your personal property, you can do with it as you wish. You want to cut it up like this, you can do so. You want to throw it away, you can do so. You want to smash it with a sledgehammer, you can do so. You can do the same thing with the big screen TV on your wall. It is your property. I have already done a couple of videos about what I recommend people do in this situation. I recommend that it be cut up. I recommend that you photo and video document the destruction of that trigger, that you then dispose of the trigger, and that you then send that data to an attorney who can serve as the communication liaison between you and the ATF in the event that ATF contacts you. That's what we're advising on people who have the trigger or have the trap. It's still in its original condition, and they have not received letters from ATF at this point. Now, let's talk about the people who have a trigger or a trap, and they have received a letter from the ATF. Now, one of the things that I need to be very upfront with you is dealing with the ATF is a little bit like dealing with the IRS. And what I mean by that is once they contact you, they are not going to stop contacting you until the matter is resolved. That's the way both of these agencies work, and I expect this to be no different. Now, if you have received a letter from ATF, and this is important, we are instructing individuals to do nothing else with the item. So if the trigger has not been cut up yet, do not cut it up after ATF sends you a letter. If you have a solvent trap that's not been cut up or destroyed, do nothing with it once you receive the letter from ATF. The reason we're advising people this is that right now the ATF does not, for the most part, believe that any of you engaged in criminal activity. I don't want to start creating destruction of evidence issues. So the ATF would have a plausible argument that you were put on notice that these items had evidentiary value, and yet you went ahead and destroyed them anyways. And what we are doing in those instances, since we cannot provide data of the destruction, is we are arranging for the actual surrender of those items, and we are setting the ground rules for how these exchanges occur. So we're picking the location, the time, and we are basically getting to tell the ATF what we're willing to do and what we're not willing to do, which is typically hand over the item, accept the 3400.23 without any signature on it, shake hands, wish each other a good day, and that's the end of it. And to this point, I have had many conversations with ATF agents in various corners of the country where we have made that request prior to the exchange, and to this point, every single one of those exchanges has gone down exactly the way we requested it. Now, this is not scientific data. This is not a survey of everything that's happening around the country. This is anecdotal evidence at best. But I can assure you, if I'd had any instance of a person where we thought we were going to have a peaceful exchange of an item and it turned into an arrest warrant, a search warrant, a body cavity search, a combination of all of that, trust me, you all would have seen the video on that already. Okay, so now we've dealt with you got the item but haven't received a letter from ATF, or you got the item and ATF has in fact already contacted you. Now there's a third category of people, which is, I don't have the item anymore. I got rid of it a long time ago. Once the heat started getting turned up on this thing, I just got rid of the darn thing. Now I've received a letter from ATF. Now you don't have the item. You don't have evidence of its destruction. It may have not even been destroyed. It may have been disposed of. It may be in a landfill somewhere. But you have no way of corroborating that. Now, we've done a video on that already here, right here. And please understand that really one of the only ways that you're going to get ATF to check your name off the list is to fill out a declaration. Now, what I've been doing for clients in that situation is we prepare the declarations. We make sure the declarations are absolutely 100% accurate. If we don't know some of the detail, we won't add detail. We will not guess at it. And to date, as of the taping of this video here, we have not had any problems with that whatsoever. And each and every time the declaration that we prepared for the ATF has in fact been accepted. Now, I have a fourth category of individual. There are two people who've fallen into this category, and I'm worried that there's going to be more. I have two individuals, one of which is here local, lives probably about 20 miles south of my office here. He received a letter stating that he had purchased 2 rare breed triggers from Rifle Remedy 2000. The problem is, he never purchased any triggers from Rifle Remedy or anybody else for that matter. He is a gun guy. He does have a gunbroker account. He does buy things on Gunbroker. The force reset trigger, the wide open trigger, never had any interest to him. He was never really interested in pursuing it. He never purchased one. So we're in the process right now of trying to rectify ATF's records because they're claiming he purchased one of these in October of last year, one of these in November of last year. The Gunbroker account records that we're able to access do not show those transactions in any way, shape, or form. If you fall into a category of individuals that are being accused of purchasing this and you in fact did not, you're falling into a category of individuals that I highly recommend that you contact an attorney immediately about this to get that rectified. Now, the other piece of information I wanted to tell you is I have had numerous conversations with ATF field officers all around the country. I had 2 of them in my office just last week. Nice gentlemen. They were here to pick up 1 forced reset trigger still in the original packaging. They were here to pick up another forced reset trigger on behalf of a different client of mine that had been cut into pieces and was in a Ziploc bag. They accepted both the triggers. I accepted the 3400.23 on behalf of both of those clients. We had a really, really nice conversation and they're out of here. That is the end of the investigation for both of these 2 gentlemen that I had the pleasure of representing. They were both local people right here and both lived pretty close to my office, so they were able to bring the items to me. I'm not having any individual send me items across state lines for obvious reasons. We don't need to complicate this or throw more gas on a fire that's not really burning at this time. To a T, every single ATF officer that I have talked to, and again, this is the field officers, so take this for what it was worth. This is not the upper management. This is not the high brass in the office that's making all the policy decisions. These are the poor souls that have to carry out the tasks. But they are, in many ways, rolling their eyes at this. They are really anxious to get as many names checked off this list as humanly possible, so as they could put it, they could get back to doing their job. Now, I know we can debate about what their job is and the usefulness of that, but certainly we can all agree that having this massive national scavenger hunt is not a good use of federal resources. Take, for example, if we took every one of these ATF agents running around looking for triggers and traps right now and just threw them, I don't know, in the south side of Chicago for 2 weeks. We might be able to pull quite a few illegal firearms and probably a lot of bad dudes off the streets, but I digress. The final thing I want you guys all to know right now is, what do I do now? Well, it depends on what kind of category you're in. If you have one of these devices, but ATF has not contacted you, technically, you don't have anything to do right now. There is nothing you need to do. And by the way, reaching out and trying to preemptively contact ATF, not a good idea. Please do not do that. It is entirely possible, as I stated earlier, that the ATF is not going to connect all the dots between these triggers and the end users. So technically, if you have not received any correspondence from ATF, there is nothing you need to do now. Now, I've had many clients that were in that position that decided they want to get out in front of it, and maybe that makes you feel better. And if that's what you feel is right for you, I do encourage you to contact competent counsel who can assist you with this issue. Now, if you have been contacted by ATF, it's a whole different ballgame, because one of three things is going to happen at this point. Okay, either A, you're going to have to deal with the ATF directly. 2, I'm going to have to deal with the ATF for you. Or 3, we're going to find you some other competent counsel, perhaps closer to home, who can do this. And as I've been very honest with everybody, we here at Washington Gun Law are not the only people who can assist you with this issue. So that is the most up-to-date information as of September 22nd, 2022. Obviously, if we learn any more, if I start getting some horror stories from people or anything like that, I will be the first to educate each and every one of you about that. In the meantime, if you have any questions about this scavenger hunt that ATF is on or anything else related to your Second Amendment rights, remember you can always contact us at WashingtonGunLaw.com, or you can call us directly at 425-765-0487. Now, let's remember, part of being the lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here at Washington Gun Law, is to know what the law is in every situation and how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching. Stay safe.